You've probably heard your grandparents say something like, back in my day, a candy bar only cost a nickel, right? Well, what if I told you that's just the tiniest tip of the iceberg? Over the 20th century, the value of the American dollar didn't just shrink, it completely reshaped the country. So today, let's dive into the incredible story of how a handful of coins basically turned into a mountain of debt.
To really get what's going on now, we have to look back at where it all started. So let's begin with a really simple question. What could one single dollar actually get you back in the year 1900? And I mean, really think about it. The answer might just blow your mind. It reveals a completely different world.
Okay, first up, with that $1, you could walk into a restaurant and get a full, hearty meal. And we're not talking about a quick snack from a drive-thru. No, this was a proper, sit-down plate of food that would actually leave you full and satisfied.
Or hey, maybe you're feeling like a night out on the town. That very same dollar could get you a ticket to a moving picture show. I mean, this was the cutting-edge, high-tech entertainment of its day. An entire evening of fun, all for just $1.
And here it is, the real kicker. That single dollar could often cover an entire day's rent for your home. Yeah, let that sink in for a second. A full day's shelter for you and your family, paid for with a single bill. It's just a universe away from where we are now.
So you got to be asking, how on earth was that even possible? Well, to understand the incredible power of that $1,900, we need to look at the world it came from. It was an economic universe built on a totally different scale.
The main thing to wrap your head around is that 1900 America was, at its heart, a working-class economy. Sure, the pay was low, but prices were low right alongside it. There was this simple, direct line between a hard day's work and what that work could actually buy you. And when we say pay was low, we really, really mean it. The average daily wage for a laborer was less than $2. Just think about that. Under $2 a day. That number right there, it's the key that unlocks the entire financial reality of the time.
All right, so with that picture in our heads, let's start to follow the trail of how the price of just surviving began to change. This is where the story of the vanishing dollar really gets going. And it starts with our most basic needs, food and a roof over our heads. Just take a simple loaf of bread. In 1900, it would have cost you about 5 cents, a nickel. That's it. Now fast forward to the year 2000, and that same loaf of bread is well over $1. This one staple, this one simple thing, shows you the incredible scale of inflation in a way we can all instantly understand.
But this wasn't just about the numbers on the price tags. Our whole relationship with food completely shifted. In 1900, the goal was simple, survival. You used cheap, local ingredients, and meat was a serious luxury. By 2000, the goal was all about convenience, in a world just flooded with processed foods and eating out all the time. Now, the change in food costs is pretty stark, but honestly, the story of housing is even more dramatic. This quote right here just says it all, doesn't it? Shelter went from being a basic need to a lifelong financial burden. This timeline really shows you the whole journey. We start back in 1900 with pretty modest homes and rent that was actually affordable on just one person's income. Then you get the post-war boom in the 50s and 60s, suburbs are popping up everywhere, and home ownership is on the rise. But by 2000, wow, prices had just exploded, turning that dream of owning a home into a 30-year mortgage you're tied to for life.
And here's the thing. It wasn't just that the old costs went up. The 20th century introduced completely new ones. Things that were once total luxuries or didn't even exist suddenly became essential parts of modern life, and every single one came with a heavy price tag.
Think about just getting around. In 1900, it was cheap. You walked or you used horses and streetcars. Easy enough. By the middle of the century, cars were becoming common, and gas was dirt cheap. But fast forward to 2000, and a car wasn't a choice anymore. It was a necessity, and with it came gas, insurance, and maintenance that ate up a huge chunk of your budget. And then you've got the two absolute heavyweights of modern costs, healthcare and education. Back in 1900, school was basic and local, and while sure, medical care was limited, it was affordable. By 2000, a college degree was suddenly seen as a must-have for success, and healthcare costs, well, they had exploded into a full-blown national crisis. So what does all this boil down to? It means the basic acts of staying healthy, getting an education, getting to work, simply taking part in modern life, suddenly became the same thing as taking on long-term debt. All of this brings us right to the heart of the modern economy, to something we can call the paycheck paradox. This is that moment where what people earned got totally disconnected from what things actually cost. It was driven by these huge economic shifts, things like moving off the gold standard and massive post-war industrial policies.
And this chart right here, this tells the whole story. Yes, of course, as you can see, wages did go up over the century. Paychecks definitely got bigger. But just look at the growth in prices. They didn't just keep up with wages, they completely, totally outran them, creating this massive gap between what people were making and what they had to spend.
And that right there is the paradox. People would look at their paychecks and see bigger numbers, sure, but then they'd go to the grocery store or the gas station, and that money just vanished. It just didn't go as far. So they were technically earning more, but they felt like they were constantly falling behind. So what did this paradox actually feel like for the average person? Because this wasn't just about numbers on a spreadsheet. These economic shifts fundamentally changed the very fabric of daily American life.
This new reality, well, it looked like the rise of the two-income household, not as a choice for some extra spending money, but as a flat-out necessity just to cover the basics. It looked like a steep drop in personal savings, because what was there to save at the end of the month? It created this constant humming financial stress, and it forced the classic American dream to sort of quietly evolve into something much, much more modest.
So in the end, the economic story of the 20th century is really a journey from a world of affordability to a world of anxiety. The numbers on the price tags didn't just change our bank accounts, they fundamentally changed how it felt to live in everyday life in America. So we've seen how the shifting value of a single dollar can reshape an entire nation over a century. And it leaves us with a really critical question. As we look to the future, how is the value of our money going to define the America of the next 100 years?